WorldCom, a company that once was the second largest telecommunication company in the US, was caught in one of the biggest accounting scandals in history. More than 30,000 employees lost their jobs, and investors had a loss of $180 billion. But how could all of this happen? CEO Bernie Ebbers focused on keeping growing by acquiring more and more companies. This was successful until the financial performance of WorldCom went down in 1999. Despite this, Ebbers still wanted to show enormous revenues and profits, mainly for his own purpose and financial conditions. This behavior continued until 2002 when some internal auditors discovered a fraud which consisted of a total amount of $11 billion. As a result of this, Ebbers was fired and sentenced for 25 years in jail. How could this manipulation of earnings have lasted for 2 years? Who is there to blame? The internal auditors? The external auditors? Or maybe even the SEC? And how can we actually detect fraud? The paper of the Chow et al. Helped us in explaining what earnings management is and which model can be used to detect it. But to be able to explain this, we first need to elaborate on some theory, starting with earnings management. Earnings management is a strategy that could be used by management of a firm to manipulate earnings. There are numerous reasons to manage earnings. It could be to upgrade a stock price and financial performance, or maybe to achieve a personal bonus. Earning management is stated by the SEC as a material misrepresentation of results. If this is intentional, it can be classified as a fraud. This behavior can be fined by the SEC, but it remains difficult to prove because of the complexity of earnings management. To measure earnings management, the Chow et al. Use accruals. Accruals make it that accounting is more than just a mere counting of cash, and accruals are needed to make up the balance sheet. Since accruals cannot be counted like money, they can easily be manipulated by managers. Managers can decide when to recognize gains and losses. Accruals can be split up into discretionary accruals and non-discretionary accruals. Discretionary accruals are accruals that can be influenced by the decisions the management makes. Non-discretionary accruals are accruals that are not influenced by management, but by the economic activities of the firm. Now we go back to the paper of the Chow et al. They examine 5 different models that can be used to detect earnings management. 2 of those models are the Healy and the D'Angelo model. Both assume that the non-discretionary accruals remain constant over each period and calculate the discretionary accruals by deducting the non-discretionary accruals from the total accruals. The 3rd and the 4th model are the Jones and the modified Jones model. They do not keep the non-discretionary accruals constant, but also calculate the discretionary accruals by deducting the non-discretionary accruals from the total accruals. The only difference between the 2 Jones models is that the modified model takes into account that the revenues can be manipulated. And finally, the last model is the industry model, which also assumes that the non-discretionary accruals are not constant, but it assumes that the changes in non-discretionary accruals are the same for the whole industry. One of the main findings that the Chow et al. Make is that those models perform different in different kinds of situations. Where one model performs better in revenue-based context, another model might perform better in a research-based context. So based on this, we can conclude that there is no golden theory to detect earnings management. Different circumstances hold for every specific firm. Therefore, one should look carefully in choosing the model to detect earnings management, and maybe then, scandals like WorldCom and accompanying losses for their investors can be prevented.
Created using Powtoon.